Tara is 4 months old. Although at this age her emotional vocabulary is limited, she has no difficulty making her feelings known. Her mother waits to hear what kind of cry it is, and whether it is a cry that needs attending. In a short time, she has learned that there are different cries. The baby human is supposed to cry. It's really the only way they have of communicating different states, like, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I don't like this. Tara's cry is a distress signal. It's important for the baby human's survival to be able to communicate these different needs. Mothers become attuned to their baby's emotional expressions and know how to respond accordingly. But although the baby human is attracted to their mother's face, how good are they at recognizing emotions in their parents and understanding what they mean? At Albert Einstein College of Medicine, researchers wanted to know at what age babies can understand the emotions of others and whether parents' emotions are easier to read than those of strangers. To find out, researchers placed babies in front of 2 screens. They are shown a series of men and women. Some are their parents, and some are strangers. On one monitor, the expression is a happy one, and on the other, a sad one. From the speaker between the 2 monitors, the baby hears either a happy voice or a sad voice. Researchers want to see at what age the baby can match the happy voice with the happy face. The words are out of sync to make sure that the infants are reading emotions, not just the lips. 12-week-old Jude is shown the happy and sad face of his mother. The voice is happy, and Jude looks from one image to the other and finally settles on the happy face. This suggests to the researchers that he is able to match his mother's happy voice with her happy face. Then they do the same thing with the father. Although it's his own father, and he can recognize him at this age, he can't yet match the right face with the right voice. And finally, loses interest. At 15 weeks, Kaylee can't match the emotions in her own father's voice with his face either. But at this age, when she is shown an unfamiliar woman, she is able to match the sad voice with the sad face. She can read the emotion even when it isn't her own mother. But Amy, at 18 weeks, can match her father's sad emotion in the voice with the one on his face. The researchers concluded that the baby human learns to read the emotions of their mother at around 12 weeks, of other women a few weeks later, and only much later of their father and other men. Researchers believe that this is probably because women express emotions more clearly than men. The baby human comes into the world with the capacity to feel and express a variety of emotions. At first, the repertoire is limited to the basic emotions of joy, surprise, frustration, and anger. At an early age, they can also recognize emotions in others. Every interaction with the outside world evokes an emotional response. But not every child reacts in the same way. Psychologists are finding more and more that the nature of the emotional response and its intensity depend on one central aspect of the baby human's makeup. Emotions are the language of infancy, the first language with which parents and infants communicate before the baby human acquires speech. But the intensity of these emotions depends on the baby human's nature. Ben's mother has been up for hours. Ben is what some mothers refer to as a difficult baby. He fusses when he's put down to sleep. He cries a lot. His 3-year-old sister was never like this. To this day, she seems to have a sweet disposition, never makes a fuss around bedtime, and sleeps through the night. Her mother thought all babies were like her. But what Ben's mother will have to learn is that, like other animals, each baby human comes into the world with their own temperament. To find out how temperament affects the baby human's emotional responses to the world and whether it follows them over the first 3 years of life, researchers at Nathan Fox's lab at the University of Maryland test babies over their first 3 years. 4-month Audrey is seated in front of a jack-in-the-box, a good toy to see how babies react when they're suddenly surprised. Audrey sits calmly and barely blinks. In fact, she finds it amusing. Like Audrey, Jacob is also 4 months. What effect will the same jack-in-the-box have on him? The researcher tries again to see if Jacob will eventually get used to the stimulus. The second time around, Jacob trembles in anticipation and begins to cry even before the jack-in-the-box pops up.
Is that kind of boring? Is that boring? I say not again.
The researcher calms him before they try again. He manages a smile.
Let's try it again. Ready?
But Jacob reacts according to his temperament and finds it too overwhelming. When you can't talk yet, crying is a good way of telling grown-ups how you feel. Some infants love more stimulation. Some less. It all depends on their temperament. When things get to be too much, babies have some tools of their own to cope.
Look at your dad. Look, Daddy. Look at your daddy.
When Maya's father gets too close, Maya looks away. That's her way of communicating to her father that she feels overstimulated.
No.
How close, how far, the amount of touching and stimulation are regulated by the emotional reactions of the baby human.
Yeah.
And one hopes they have parents who are a good match temperament-wise, or are sensitive enough to pick up on their baby's cues. Sometimes an overzealous dad needs to be educated. Too much of a good thing can be stressful, and Maya lets her dad know just how she feels.